We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Join influential figures such as Margaret Cho and Cheyenne Jackson as they inspire you to vote this November. Early voting is open. Make your voice heard.
A survey shows college applicants, especially LGBTQ students, are rejecting universities based on state political climates, particularly avoiding Texas and Florida for safety concerns.
Brooklyn's Maple Street Garden hosted Hot to Rot, where Jewish drag queens celebrated Sukkot, raising $2,000 for mutual aid, housing justice, and refugee support. The event drew attention to the intersection of LGBTQ, Israel, and Palestine.
Tourmaline's upcoming biography, Marsha, The Joy and Defiance of Marsha P. Johnson, explores the life, activism, and legacy of queer icon Marsha P. Johnson.
The Miami Book Fair, set to take place from November 17th to the 24th, will feature more than 500 global authors, workshops, and the annual street fair, promoting an inclusive literary experience for all.
Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, and we now have more than 10 million views on the daily live queer news show in the world. We are proud that we have more than 1,000 new subscribers in October, and that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida. Over 500,000 of you have watched the show in the last 60 days. We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our community. It is Tuesday, October 29th, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in the LGBTQ news, you'll see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, businesses, and queer culture. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
All right, and welcome everyone. Let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome Alex Morash. Alex has written for The Advocates and served as editor-in-chief of Options magazine. He has also served as media director of the National LGBTQ Task Force and press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. Alex, you have a guest column published at Options magazine today. Your old company, so to speak, about the presidential election and what it means for LGBTQ people. Tell us all about it.
Yes, Options, every now and then they ask me to write a column again, because I used to write a column called Chatter in Class. And then, I was reflecting on, what did this election mean for us? And I came up with thinking about, the title is, Trump must be stopped, Harris must be resisted, a Harris voter's warning to LGBTQ voters. Because something that I've noticed the past couple months is a lot of the rhetoric we've been seeing from Harris has been more concerning. That doesn't mean, vote for Donald Trump or do that. I say very specifically in the piece, I voted for Kamala, but the next 4 years, you're probably going to have to be much more active in pushing back on her administration. To me, the thing that really created this article to begin with, the big issue, was her recent comments on NBC News when asked about trans youth. she dodged the question, and I was just really struck by that. And then I was reading in the Advocate magazine that, there's been multiple U.S. Senate candidates that are Democrats that have been moving away from trans people. In fact, the Democratic nominee from Texas, on October 11th, National Coming Out Day, he put up an ad saying, I don't support boys and girls sports. And HRC, who would endorse him, even had to come up and say, what are you talking about? This goes against your record. Please clarify. And it's been really horrifying. Yes, I want her to defeat Trump, but I'm just so afraid of what the next 4 years are going to look like.
Well, who do you think she's going to have in her administration that will be able to guide her? Do you have any idea?
Unfortunately, she says she'd like to put in Republicans and she'd be going on tour with Liz Cheney. So I'm very concerned with who's going to put up. And that's why I'm very happy that people like AOC and Elizabeth Warren have already been starting to push back on we're going to be much more aggressive on who we appoint. Now, if people want to read this article, they can go to optionsri.org, and then they can even go onto the website and fill out a form to tell me why they think I'm wrong.
Well, the countdown is on.
Let's welcome Corey Billions. Corey is a proud LGBTQ plus community member from West Palm Beach. He has served as a pharmacy technician for 10 years. Welcome, Corey.
Hello. It's Scorpio season, so when you see one, kiss them on the cheek.
Oh. And now let's welcome Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 2 short story collections and 7 books of poetry. He is an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of print and online publications. Welcome, Gregg.
Hello. And please be sure to read my interview with Cyndi Lauper, which will be in this week's issue of Out South Florida.
Nice. And
of course, this right here, this feller, this is tonight's lead anchor, Dr. Bobby Huen. He is a certified civil and family mediator and a founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. From Hong Kong, and having grown up across the world, he can offer a queer, global perspective on current events. Welcome, Bobby.
Thanks, Gregg. And so, we are reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for Tuesday, October 29, 2024. First, this evening, let's queer up the USA view. Huge number of celebrities join Equality for All campaign. The 2024 election is just days away, and your voice matters now more than ever. That's why a powerful lineup of voices, including Margaret Cho, Cheyenne Jackson, Joaquin Booster, Alexis Michelle, Imani Rupert Gordon, Kelly Robinson, Sandra Bernhard, R.K. Russell, and a lot more have come together to share why they are voting this November. Early voting is now open. You can vote in person, by mail, or taking your ballot to a drop-off box on or before Election Day, November 5th. Watch the video, get inspired, and don't forget to spread the word. The Equality for All Roundtable was held this afternoon and can be viewed on the LGBTQ Nation YouTube channel.
I'm voting because I believe in this country.
I'm voting because our voices matter.
We are voting so that we can do more of what we're doing right now.
Hi friends, it's Brian, and I am here to tell you that it is more important than ever that you get out and vote this year. And it's our community that is hurt the most when people do not show up and fight for equality for everyone.
I'm voting because voting is the most powerful tool we have to protect our rights, to protect our future, and to protect democracy.
I'm voting because I want to stay free. I want to have reproductive rights. I want to have rights for the LGBTQIA community.
In the fight for civil rights, there are a lot of steps to get there, and having an administration that is pro-equality is better for everyone.
Oh, I'm voting. I gotta protect my rights as well as the rights of my LGBTQ siblings.
I'm voting now because it's more important than ever that we preserve our democracy.
I'm voting for my freedom.
I'm voting for mine and your future. I'm voting because I think it's my civic responsibility. I have always voted in every election, and this one is the most important of all.
I'm voting because it matters.
I'm voting because there is so much at stake in this election.
This is about the future of our youth. This is about the future of my children. And I think with this election, we have the opportunity to really set a different trajectory for this country.
I just see so many dire, pressing humanitarian issues in America, but also outside of America that our country is influencing, that I really feel like I need to stand up for and vote for.
The environment, the economy, all this nonsense going on, hatred for immigrants.
What gets me to the ballot box this time is continuing democracy.
This very well may be the most important election of our lifetime. We've heard it, and I believe it.
Democracy is on the ballot. I would like to vote again in 4 years.
I'm voting for the candidate that I know will ensure that we always have open and fair elections in this country.
I'm voting because whoever wins this election is going to control the Supreme Court and the fate of the entire country for at least a generation.
Because the decisions we make at the ballot box will have a lasting impact on our future.
Because LGBTQ plus rights and women's access to health care are on the line.
So that crusty old men don't have control over our bodies.
Because I would love for things to get better and not worse, if that makes sense.
I'm voting for my family, I'm voting for my community, and I'm voting to win. It's time for us to find some joy and to have people in office that look like us and that represent our communities.
I'm voting because I want to live in a world where women have the right to choose what they want to do with their own bodies and to have common sense gun control laws and to be able to chant USA, USA again without feeling weird about it. I haven't been able to do that since like Tara Lipinski.
Take control of your destiny, of the country's and the world's destiny, and keep us on track because it's no joke. This is deadly serious time. Vote blue all the way down the ticket wherever you are.
Remember to research the down ballot races in your community. They are just as important, if not in some cases even more important.
All of these offices make critical decisions every single day that impact all of our lives. So do it. Get out there. Vote.
We're not going back. We're not going back.
So get out there and vote.
The thing that I like best about voting, it feels good.
Very inspiring video. Thank you very much for every celebrity there and official participated. But I want to just put it out there. Aside from these people who are at the round table today, recently we also, especially after the disastrous, Nazi rally 1939, the sequel, we have now more endorsement coming in for Kamala from every Puerto Rican celebrity that ever existed. Except apparently Nikki J or whatever, the one that Trump is taking for a girl.
Oh, God,
yeah. And more importantly, go vote and vote for the side that promotes democracy, freedom, and not the side that promotes hate and homophobia and transphobia, please.
And xenophobia, and so many phobias.
I can appreciate how many like gay and trans bills are on the ballots now or in different states with different cities, because you don't really see that so frequent and in abundance. So there's like
trans rights is like gay marriage back in 2004. You have people, I mean, I know that I'm an old person now, but back in 2004, red states put up a whole bunch of anti-LGBTQ measures, including gay marriage bans as state constitutional amendments to drive the vote for Republicans. And as a result, until 2015, when Obergefell got decided, their states were banned from recognizing same-sex marriage pretty much in every Republican state. Now, the trans issues on the ballot, or rather, they're using trans issue as the boogeyman.
That's the bait.
Say this Democratic candidate loves trans people. He's going to send boys into girls' bathroom and vice versa. Have you seen a trans guy lately? If you look at a trans guy, if they don't tell you he's a trans guy, you can tell he's a trans guy. He would look like a man walking into a women's bathroom.
Well, whether you think you can figure out if someone's trans or not, I don't think that important of an issue. People should feel allowed to be who they are. When watching that Equality for All video, it was one sort of wonderful to see people coming together, because there is a huge concern that, one of the two candidates does seem to support the idea of fascism. One of his associates, Michael Flynn, when asked did they support, executing his political opponents, he didn't answer the question. He just said, if we win, we're going to unleash the gates of hell. So, viewers can make up their own mind on that.
At least one speaker said that we will slaughter them all.
Yeah, it's scary stuff. But that being said, I'm glad that you brought up marriage equality because, what we're seeing from both parties on trans rights right now is also what we saw from both parties on marriage equality. And something that I'm a little concerned with these sorts of campaigns from LGBTQ rights groups is, are you going to hold both parties and politicians of all stripes accountable? Because that really needs to be your job. So yes, vote for who you think is best. Rumor has it one candidate's really crazy versus the other, but when it comes to our system as a whole, really ask these organizations for gay rights and queer rights, are you going to actually hold these candidates accountable, or are you just going to hang out at their victory party?
No, I just
let's not forget about the local elections, the sheriffs,
down ballot, right?
Judges. Yeah. There's a lot of different other
very, very
laws and orders in place right now for the voting.
Right.
I don't know if Hotspots magazine put out an election for sure, but South Florida Gay News did a very good
out South Florida.
Out South Florida. So I get that they're wrong because they changed, but they did a very good our little list of how to vote on. They talked about the judge issue, the ballot amendments. It's a really great voter information packet.
And there's also local national organization to put up voting guides.
Right.
You can consult HRC.
If you're confused,
often Democrats.
Plenty of places online.
And there are so many resources available for you to go out and vote.
Yeah.
Vote like this. Vote. If you don't vote now, you might not be able to vote from now on.
Right.
The end. They're going to take your voting rights away.
Right.
Well, next up, let's queer up students and youth. Bad news for Florida colleges, as 25% of college applicants are rejecting states with bad politics. In a recent survey from the Art and Science Group, reveals that college applicants are increasingly ruling out universities based on the political climate in the states in which they reside. The LGBTQ students are especially vigilant. Over a quarter of applicants, 28%, admitted, according to the survey, quote, exclude schools solely based on political considerations in the state where the institution is located, end quote. Texas particularly stands out as the most rejected state, with both liberal and moderate students dismissing it. The survey indicates that student decisions often align with their political affiliations. Conservative students are more inclined to rule out states like New York and California, while liberal students are likely to exclude Florida, Arkansas, and Tennessee. Moderates also showed a tendency to avoid California, Florida, and New York. However, queer students specifically demonstrated a greater likelihood of excluding schools in states like Florida due to the political context of their locations. Florida has recently been criticized for its anti-LGBTQ legislation and other controversial policies proposed and passed by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Rebecca, a 17-year-old transgender girl from New Jersey, expressed her concerns to The Advocate magazine regarding the impact of anti-LGBTQ laws on her college search. She explained her options. She said, quote, it's been really interesting to see how my peers go about this college finding process because they don't really have to think about their safety as much, end quote. This was, I think, a very interesting article on a few different levels. When I first read this article, I was like, I need to go check a fact to figure out, because there's been this talk about eventually the number of college-age students in this country is going to decline. I double-checked. The Hill reported in January, 2025 is when you're going to start seeing the number of college-age students decline. And it's not going to come back till 2037. So the fact that students are making college decisions based on something like this should be a huge wake-up call to the institutions and the state leaders that have college students. Now, the other fun, interesting fact or question for me is, there's been a lot of discussion about young male voters and are they all turning far right. And if that's true, we would be able to see that in college enrollments in states like Florida and Texas, where normally overall, there are actually more young women in school than men.
Yeah.
But a place like Texas or Florida, if this is true, and if these boys are so conservative, you'll start seeing those schools have a lot more boys all of a sudden. So it's a fun, weird fact, but in reality, it's also a really scary issue that needs to be tackled by elected leaders.
when dinosaurs roamed the earth, that is when I went to college, I was actually very cognizant of which state and areas that I'm, and this is like in the 90s when gay rights wasn't as big of a thing as it is now. But I was still looking out for my safety. I chose Boston for a reason. I chose Boston University, my alma mater. Shout out to AOC.
Right.
For a reason.
And very similar. And since I was going to college in the early 80s, long before you were going to college, when I was applying to college, this wasn't really something that I thought about. However, when I attended college in Boston, Emerson College, in the early 1980s, as a young gay man, an out gay man, was definitely the best decision I could have made, because Boston is known for being liberal and open. And I mean, the state of Massachusetts is known for that. So I can see how that now affects decision making.
Florida's the Wild Wild West. I can believe these numbers. The youth is more in tune, they're more understanding, they're more aware and self-conscious of the world and what's going on. So Florida is not a fun place on paper.
But
in real life, it's a ball, because I love the beach and the jet skis. But in reality, there's so many things that are laws and orders in place to block your life.
Yeah. Look, that's a really big, important point, because as someone who grew up, I was born and raised third generation Bostonian, and did go up to school up there, but like, when I've lived down here versus up there, I've been discriminated many times as a queer person in the Boston area. There is very much an unsaid way of rejecting queer people in Massachusetts. Whereas down here, at least in South Florida, I don't want to say all of Florida, but at least South Florida, I've not felt that sort of discrimination. But like, I've also experienced very kind people in Orlando, Tampa, and Tallahassee. So like, I was very surprised by that difference.
Those are usually cities that turn blue anyway.
Like, I'm not going to go roaming through the wilderness to try and find the homophobes in the world.
Well, the thing is too, there are two things about this. One, the student when the student body declines, or if they do not get the right kind of students, the ones that are high achieving, more open-minded, the more likely they're going to become like high achieving individuals. You're looking at a brain drain. Faculty would not come here. Research grants will not arrive. A lot of these grants are given by non-profit that are private. They don't have to give the centers make it difficult for queer students, and more importantly, let's talk about women. Florida and Texas both ban abortion, an extreme ban on abortions. Why would any young woman feel safe coming down here, knowing that any kind of slip up, and now Trump is taking aim at birth control. They're going to try to ban birth control, ban the morning after pill, ban everything. Why would any kind of woman want to come to any of these red states to study?
Yes, that's a very big point, because like, I'm not going to name this, but like, when I was a freshman in college, another freshman, she did have to get and like go through an abortion. It was a very emotional experience for her and all of us as her friend. Like, and the idea that like going to a state where you wouldn't have that option, though, not to tell people how to vote, but there the question 4, I think, might actually help address that if any voters are interested.
Well, on the other hand, although 4 years ago we also had an amendment 4 that actually allow felons to get the vote.
Very good point.
But the centers have put up every administrative obstacle there is, so that they can avoid actually the will of the voters to bring that amendment live. So
let's vote, people. Vote. Get out there.
Vote
mail.
Blue.
Yep.
Send a carrier pigeon.
Smoke signal. And also, just to remind all the young men, Project 2025, which is embraced by Trump, bans pornography. If you enjoy any of that as a young man, vote for someone else.
They even consider drag pornography. Are there any drag stories today?
They would call anything pornography. They'll call like, anything.
Is there any story coming up that's drag related?
Yeah. Anyway, so next, let's queer up drag culture. Brooklyn Jewish drag queens are raising money for Gaza refugees. A unique celebration of Sukkot unfolded in Brooklyn's Maple Street's community garden, where Full Moon Drag, a troupe of Jewish drag artists, constructed a sukkah adorned with poppies, keffiyehs, and a Free Palestine banner. This makeshift shelter became the stage for the event Hot to Rot, where 100 attendees came together for an evening of performance, solidarity, and activism. The event raised $2,000 for Equality for Flatbush and for Denison Society. Equality for Flatbush is a local mutual aid organization fighting for housing justice and against police violence. While Denison Society provides housing and food to Gazan refugees. Opening the night was Harsh Bay, played by Ariel, who performed Lady Gaga's Come to Mama, symbolically welcoming ancestors and the audience into a Jewish community. Reflecting on the troupe's identity, Ariel added, quote, "The way I see it, proud anti-Zionist queer Jews like us represent a spaces that Jewish left is craving and actively creating," end quote. This event was a celebration of what it means to build a Jewish community centered on justice. At sunset, the troupe and attendees disassembled the sukkah together, ending the event as a united group in Crown Heights. And in this turmoil in the Middle East, this is probably one of the it's a tiny piece of good news, but good news nonetheless.
Yeah. Although I have to wonder, it does sound fascinating, but I have to wonder, $2,000, not sneezing at any amount, but $2,000 seems like a low amount of money raised. So you have to wonder if there were people who just actively avoided it or who just didn't contribute.
Well, this is why I pull my dollars out and I tip the drag queens, and we should continue to tip them because you never know where these dollars are going. Mm-hmm. This is a positive event. They're not murdering and assassinating presidents. They are handling business, being thoughtful, being mindful, giving back to people in different countries, let alone in front of you. You never know what this dollar could save another drag queen or another trans or another gay, lesbian. It helps. Tip them.
I think it was really wonderful both for this group to do this, but also, I will actually praise both Hotspots News and I believe it was The Advocate or The Out magazine, same company, but they did this original story. And it's nice to see queer media be open to doing these sorts of articles because so much of mainstream media has been a little hostile towards reporting on both the sheer number of Jewish activists that have been coming out to be anti-war and calling out the Israeli government, but also just any discussion on Palestinians as human beings and trying to humanize them. Like, it's considered taboo in some circles to humanize Palestinians, which is just absolutely mind-boggling to me.
It's a very tightrope to walk as for anyone, any kind of known person in the media. You say something pro-Gaza, there's going to, especially as a politician, AIPAC is coming to you like a herd of elephants.
Cancel.
Right. On the other hand, if you say anything pro-Israel, or especially pro-Zionist, you get the backlash from the other side.
Cancel.
So a lot of celebrities, a lot of people who are well known for their political opinions just stop saying anything.
It's not an equal
thing. I know,
it's
not an equal thing.
No offense to the Israeli people, but they have more than enough weapons to do whatever they want to the people of Gaza, and sadly they are. Whereas the people of Gaza are not it's a very huge power imbalance. So it's like one group, the issue with the money, with the aid, the scary thing is we're not even sure if aid can get into Gaza. The U.S. administration, the White House has been very aggressive trying to stop, they've not wanted to stop giving Israel arms, but they might have to over just how hard it is to get humanitarian aid into Gaza.
There's a horrifying story that came out, I think yesterday or today, that Israeli-American businessman is testing this technology of rounding up all the Palestinians and put them in enclosures, then use AI to decide if they're armed or not, and using Blackwater, or now known as something else, but Blackwater, the mercenary company, they essentially just shoot them if they even suspect them to be terrorists.
And AI has been so good for the city of New York when they started AI scanning if people have a gun, that they got 130 people, and none of them actually had guns. AI is always
technology.
Great. But, the one other point I'll make on this, people also should really understand, with this Jewish group, when you actually look at who in this country gets arrested for protesting for Palestinians, it's mostly Black, Muslim, and Jewish. Those are the three groups of people that are overwhelmingly arrested in this country on this. And people need to start understanding that issue.
Exactly.
Next, let's queer up the USA View. Historic biography on Marsha P. Johnson is coming to bookstores. Celebrated artist and scholar Tourmaline is set to release a landmark biography on Marsha P. Johnson, a trailblazer of queer liberation and an iconic figure in the Stonewall Uprising. Titled Marsha, The Joy and Defiance of Marsha P. Johnson, the book will be the first full-length exploration of Johnson's life, her activism, artistry, and resilience. Talking about the book, Tourmaline said, Marsha's been a guiding force of my life and work for so many years. Sharing that with the world is the deepest honor. The biography builds on years of research compiling film, photography, and press clippings that showcase Johnson's powerful legacy. A pivotal yet often misunderstood figure, Johnson was, according to Tourmaline, a true cultural innovator on a massive scale. She described how Johnson's strength shone in her defiance of social norms, whether on stage with the Cockettes, Angels of Light group, or resisting police at Stonewall. Tourmaline explained the subtitle of the book, Joy and Defiance. She also explained that the subtitle of the book, Joy and Defiance, reflects Johnson's powerful outlook. Marsha was one of the first, if not the first person to physically resist the police that night. In Joy lies your greatest clarity about how to navigate a big problem. She knew she deserved to be fully alive at any given moment, and she lived in such defiance to the norms and forms. You can't separate that from her beauty. Marsha, The Joy and Defiance of Marsha P. Johnson, will be published by Tiny Reparations Books and is set to hit shelves on May 20th, 2025, offering a deeper look at one of queer history's most influential figures. In a time when bans on queer books are increasingly prominent, this book and Marsha's life story are sure to reinvigorate queer culture. Thank you, Tourmaline. We need more eyes, more views, and more understanding. Like, I feel like a lot of it is misunderstanding or speculation from one person instead of getting to know the gay culture, the trans people, like why people like to do drag, why I like to watch drag. So I can appreciate someone shine. Again, another positive story is what I like to see and hear. Thank you, Queer News Tonight. Great.
Well, it's about time that Marsha P. Johnson received the biography treatment, because there was a documentary about Marsha a few years ago, but now a book, that can be passed from person to person and live on your bookshelf. And it's great that she's getting that honor.
And it's nice because it was described as not just interviewing other people talking about her, but actual press clips, footage of her own actual words. Because often, I'll hear all the different stories that people sort of post onto her, and then I'll actually read what people say that she stated, and it's just a different person often. And I'm like, I want to know who Martha was, not what everyone else wants her to be. Like, but what was she like? Like, for instance, it's asserted that in a radio interview she said she did not throw the first brick at Stonewall. Now, others claim she climbed up the building and got something off the building and smashed it down on a police car. So I think that's cooler than a brick. But I want to hear what she said actually happened, not what everyone else claims is what she did.
No, I mean, I agree. And also, this is a mess. I mean, her story, her glorious story, is why I'm so pissed off by the pick-me gays, the ones that who are advocating dropping the T from LGBTQ movement, the ones that who are like, black and trans people were not at a Stonewall riot. Bitch, she's right there.
Right. Well, also a lot of that is like right-wing claims that they're the group. Like the right wing will pay to prop up a group like that. There's also certain types of allegedly anti-choice women's groups, and then you get into it's like, it's a bunch of right-wing billionaires secretly backing it, and it's not anything.
Outside agitators. Next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. One of America's great book fairs is returning to Miami, including LGBTQ themes.
Celebrate books and their writers and enjoy a vibrant weekend street fair for all ages at the Miami Book Fair, November 17th to 24th. Join authors for captivating readings, engaging panels, and autograph signings. Children's Alley brings beloved characters to life through mesmerizing storytelling sessions, hands-on activities, and more. Don't miss a special performance by the Rock Bottom Remainders at Off the Shelf. Ignite your passion for books in downtown Miami. Get your tickets now at miamibookfair.com.
The Miami Book Fair returns this November for its 41st edition. transforming downtown Miami into a hub for literary enthusiasts and curious readers of all backgrounds. Scheduled from November 17th to the 24th, this year's fair brings together more than 500 authors from around the globe, making it one of the most diverse book gatherings in the United States. The fair highlights an inclusive literary experience featuring discussions, readings, and workshops in multiple languages, such as English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. At the center of the celebration is the annual street fair, running from November 22nd to the 24th. Book lovers can explore an array of booths, attend live readings, and participate in discussions, all while engaging with unique literary voices and genres. The event will be held at Miami-Dade College's Wolfson campus with two prominent queer authors, Caridad Moro-Grunleer and Isabel Camille, headlining special segments. Camille is the mother of a transgendered young man named Sky and the author of Soleil's Mom, a transgender journey of love, loss, and letting go. With affordable ticketing, including free admission for children under 12 and reduced rates for teens and seniors, the Miami Book Fair 2024 is open to all. Caridad is Miami-Dade County's poet laureate and a well-known voice in queer poetry. She also serves as the associate editor for Swim, Every Day, an online daily poetry journal for women identifying poets, as well as the Betsy Writers Room's poetry curator at large. Excuse me. More details are available at miamibookfair.com. I'm going to take a sip of something water. Much better. Okay. I am definitely counting the days until the 2024 Miami Book Fair in November and all that queer representation. For Out South Florida, I interviewed a couple of queer writers appearing at the book fair. Nice. Juby Areola Headley, who lives here in South Florida, is the author of Bound. I interviewed him. And Jeffrey Mark, author of Mean Boys, and those interviews will be running in South Florida in advance of the book fair. If you've never been, you must make a point of going. It's great.
I'm going to try to make an appearance. I'm ditching Art Basel, so...
Oh.
I mean, I'm exchanging.
It's Art Basel.
No, I'm exchanging art
book
for books.
Oh,
I'm out of wall space. Like, it's not like I can get by any more art.
I like this idea. You know, the Miami Books event is the new Art Basel of our times. I like it, Bobby. I'm like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, so go there before they set up VIP booths and start gatekeeping, you know, all that fun stuff.
I would want to go because it's nostalgia. Like, nowadays, these kids are so stuck to tablets and phones, they don't know what a library is or like paper, hardbacks. Like,
right, you can get books signed. You can't sign like a Kindle or something, but if you get a book, you can get a book signed by the author. Which is so cool. And then that Rock Bottom Remainder, that little band, that's Stephen King and I think Amy Tan. So all these famous authors are in this band, so that's a cool thing too. Yeah.
But if you want to save some trees, you do. You can get your books on digital form, hell, even Audible form. This is not, we're not saying that if you don't read paper books that you're not a reader. You can absorb literature in so many forms.
I was about to say, I'm sure they have like a QR code where I can just get my phone when I go there to get this book or that book.
That takes away from the experience.
Oh.
I used to be the person to sit in the library on the floor and just really deep dive 5-6 paragraphs in and like, okay, time to go home. Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at Happening Out Television Studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
finish tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up entertainment. Here is the update of all the LGBTQ queerest characters of the MCU. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, and Disney had been slow in introducing queer characters, but in recent years have shown great progress. Initially, queer representation in Marvel came via Netflix's Daredevil, with lawyer Jerry Haggis, who was played as a lesbian. In 2019's Avengers Endgame, director Joe Russo briefly portrayed a gay man, grappling with loss post-snap. Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie was the MCU's first openly queer superhero, with her bisexuality highlighted in Thor's Love and Thunder. Meanwhile, Valkyrie's rocky friend Korg found a male partner portraying queer alien love. Marvel's 2021 Eternals included Phastos in the first gay superhero with a family, and in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, America Chavez brought a teen hero with lesbian mothers into the universe, albeit subtly. More inclusion depictions appear on Disney Plus, with Io and her partner Anika in Black Panther sequels, and brand new was this month's reveal of the bisexual Wiccan in Agatha All Along, played by out actor Joe Locke. And how can we forget the pansexuality of Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool? For what it's worth, growing queer inclusivity in MCU signals Marvel and Disney enjoying evolving commitment to diversity. It has been nice, because I tend to find Disney's concepts of diversity and representation what an old white straight racist would consider slightly diversity, and
slightly one note, here's your token.
But that being said, to get more into the nitty-gritty, I am obsessed with Agatha All Along. It is the best show I have seen in a long time out of Disney. I am having way too much fun with it. Teen or Wiccan is amazing, all of them. And Patti LuPone, I love her.
She's funny.
Saying.
And also, don't bear in mind that Joe Locke is also on the other queer show, Heartstoppers, that has gone Twitter into a frenzy. It went crazy. I think that was on Netflix.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Just had a new season, I believe.
Yes, just finished the last season. They caught up with the books now, so it's going to be a while.
MCU is a 3-letter acronym that stands for Makes This Critic Unhappy.
And what is your complaint?
I'm done.
Don't blame me.
That's right. DC all day.
Oh, Lord. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up drag culture. Here's the top money-earning rankings of RuPaul queens on Drag Race. Over the years, RuPaul's Drag Race has become more than a stage for fierce queens. It's a goldmine for top competitors. With increasing cash tips and substantial prizes, contestants are not just winning crowns, but also amassing fortunes. Originally, queens took home $100,000, a prize that first appeared in season 4. But recent seasons have seen the prize grow to even larger sums. Topping the list of high earners is Jinx Monsoon with $332,500. Alyssa and Jimbo tie at $230,000, followed by Sasha Colby at $222,000, Nymphia Wynn $218,250, Willow Pill $159,500, and Shea Coulee at $150,000. Raha at $135,000, Trinity the Tuck $130,000, and Alaska Thunderfuck at $130,000. With new seasons lined up, fans can expect these numbers to keep climbing as queens cash in on their charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Industry insiders estimate paydays for these top winners are dramatically higher than prize money. Trixie Mattel, for example, is estimated to be the highest paid Ru queen with a net worth of more than $10 million. First of all, being drag is not, being in the drag business is not cheap.
It's not.
The clothes, the costume, the makeup, the wigs,
yes.
$100,000+ would disappear in a blink of an eye like that. I mean, especially when you need essentially new outfits for every show you go to.
It is good that they're paying at least contestants different prizes, but there has been a long history of critiques of not paying the queens all the cast for their actual work of being on camera, and the fact that these are long days. They're locked up in a motel. They're not supposed to tell anyone. They're not even really allowed to hang out in the pool together. They can't have the internet, and they're not always given the best wage. So if you don't win these prizes, you don't really get that much. And I think it's a good start, but it's but it's still paid work on TV.
That's
Yeah.
when you put the effort and you win.
That's right. Hard work and hairspray really pays off for these queens.
I mean, I call it the NFL theory, that you start at the very bottom because you're, high school football, college football, you're not getting paid jack, and then only if you blow up do you get the millions and millions because you got drafted. But
you don't really
queens are like that, and working as queens are like that.
Can I just say, I think a football player has it easier compared to a girl in a tight tuck.
Probably.
100% concussion rate. LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up sports. Touchdown. As out gay NFL agent represents players and blazes a trail in a masculine world. Joaquin McCoy, a powerhouse attorney and sports agent, is making waves in the sports world as one of Outsport's Power 100 honorees. With over 30 years of legal experience, McCoy's career highlights include litigating against Fortune 500 giants like Apple and AT&T, and successfully defending same-sex marriage in California in 2008, paving the way for its brief legalization through his own Genuine Sports group launched in 2012. McCoy has connected many LGBTQ athletes with professional teams, helping them navigate their careers. McCoy at the forefront, queer inclusivity in sports continues to grow and becomes a unique example that we are everywhere, even in the most masculine of businesses and sports circles. Love a gay that's not afraid to get out there and sweat. It's not me, but we need people. It's always nice to have someone to navigate the business, especially the not so norm. We're usually a stylist or a backup dancer or a lot of these. And we're also smart, elevated people in the world as well. They're executives and business owners as well. We're not limited. But I like that.
I hope this gentleman actually would discipline the players when their players, tweet out something homophobic or transphobic. Or, for example, wearing a certain MAGA hat and jumping from cameras like Boston did the other day.
But it was nice to hear someone not only do sports, which is something like I know nothing about half the time, but they're also able to do all sorts of work for the community. That was really nice.
Versatile. LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Director Ridley Scott's reaction to Pedro Pascal and Paul Mescal kiss in new Gladiator. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, actor Paul Mescal revealed a surprising moment while rehearsing a fight scene with co-star Pedro Pascal for Gladiator 2. Mescal, known for his compelling on-screen chemistry with male co-stars, shared, quote, "There was a moment when we were rehearsing my fight scene with Pedro, and I had an idea towards the end of the scene to kiss Pedro on the forehead," end quote. Curious about director Ridley Scott's reaction, Mescal asked over the radio, "Ridley, kiss on the forehead. Did you like it? Yay or nay?" After a pause, Scott responded, "I'm afraid I did." Gay fans are excited about the film's November 22nd release, eagerly anticipating the chemistry between Mescal and Daddy Pascal. Well,
it is an art choosing gladiators. They're usually prisoners of war.
Reclaim this city for the glory of Rome.
You have something in you. Rage. Never let it go. It will carry you to greatness. I own you now. But whose head could I give you to satisfy your fury?
The general will do. Rome has taken everything from me. But I will have my vengeance.
There is plenty of pain waiting for you in the next life. I don't know why you are so greedy for it in this one.
Your Majesties.
This is your gladiator.
It is. trust of the emperors. It will clear my path to the throne. You will be my instrument.
I will never be your instrument in this life or the next.
Lucius, take your father's strength. His name was Maximus, and I see him in you.
Most fighters won't survive.
You must help him.
Strength among us! I don't fight for power. I fight to free Rome from men like them.
Your name will be forgotten!
To restore order, I must have power.
Everything is forgotten in time. Empires fall, so do emperors.
This is war! Real war!
The odds are against you. The odds are always against me.
Ready to roll!
Well, while I worship at the altars of Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal, honestly, I have no interest in sitting through a 2.5-hour Ridley Scott movie. Sorry.
Sign me up. Daddy Pascal. Is it bad that I want to put the Mandalorian helmet on him and just tell him, take me to the moon? I love it.
I think I'm going to have to agree with you a little bit, Greg, just because, like, how have we been, like, sold this sort of movie as, like, oh, it's so interesting and sexy. I'm like, I'm sorry, I remember Spartacus, where they weren't just kissing each other on the forehead. There was plenty of dick, as all the viewers know. I love to see in a movie. So, like, come on, Pedro, show full frontal.
I don't think we can pass the regulators for showing, dick on a PG-13 movie. Or is it rated R? Well, either way.
Make a rated X.
No dick. Right.
They can have it on Spartacus. They can figure it out for the movie.
No, I don't on Showtime, so we know what that means.
And that is today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these type of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Bobby Huen, and on behalf of these LGBTQ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Alex Morash, Corey Billions, and Gregg Shapiro. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. We remind you, the presidential election is just 6 more days away. Stand up for equality, rights, and representation. Early voting has started across most of the country, so get your voting done now to avoid long lines. This is especially true for younger voters who hasn't turned up a lot in terms of early voters. So let's make history. Let's vote for a better future. Good night.